Hello everyone, welcome back to Cinema Sitdown. I'm your host Chan, and I'm here with
Isaiah.
Natalie.
I'm Sam.
I'm Josh.
We'll be right back after the intro. Okay, we're back, and today we just finished watching movie Breathe, and this came out in 2017, and we have a lot thoughts to talk about. So I just want to talk about your initial thoughts. I just want to ask you about that. Oh, this is my first time to be on a talent, and I'm so nervous. You guys didn't know
so
that.
Good. You're gonna do so
Oh
good.
yeah. So what do you think about this movie?
I was going into it kind of like, well, I don't know, because I like Andrew Garfield, but I don't really watch many like romantic kind of movies. But I feel like this is a really human story, and I could connect to some parts of it a lot, and I thought it was so good. I really liked it. I felt like it was fast-paced enough where I couldn't really like get bored, and the emotional part of it was definitely there. And it almost got me to cry, just almost. So, I definitely felt for the characters.
Yeah, I would say the same. At first I was like, I knew what it was about, and I was like, I wonder how they're gonna give out all the information.
Yeah.
And then I was like, throughout the whole story, I was just like smiling a lot when everyone was just like so happy, and we were making like innovations, and we were like progressing. And I was like, yeah, like I was just feeling good the whole time. Like I was like, yes, this is a good story.
I was nervous a little bit with how they were going to portray this story without it coming across as like tone deaf a little bit, because it still does a little bit, because we get to see in like colonization and how like all of that went down. But I really thought that it was a really sweet movie. I learned something. I didn't know that's how it happened. But I really liked it. I thought it was really great. I did think it went when you say it was fast paced, I felt like we were just zooming through time, which I know that's the point, but we were just going so quickly. I kind of lost track of what was happening where we were every so often. And when he said, "Oh, it's been 10 years," I was like, "It's been 10 years?" Didn't even know that. So that might be my only gripe. But besides that, I really like this movie. It was very heartwarming.
Yeah, I'll get to that in my some more of my thoughts too, because that was one of the things I was trying to think about. Is I was getting emotionally invested in this in the middle and end, but there was something missing. I felt like, and as I was thinking back, I was like, maybe I felt like the beginning between them two went by a little too fast to buy into the romance. But besides that, I actually did enjoy this movie. Andrew Garfield, I think he was the perfect person to portray this kind of character, given that he is very good at facial emotions to be seen in a lot of his other movies, given that this character literally can't move. But there's a lot of other things I'll get into here and there. But overall, I found myself having a good time. I've heard about this movie because this was Andy Serkis' directorial debut, which Andy Serkis, he's known for, he did the motion capture and voice for Gollum and Caesar from Planet of the Apes movies, and so stuff like that. So this was his first time actually directing, and then after that he did some other films after that. But that's what I heard about it. I just never got a chance to see it, so I was glad I did here.
Yeah, the reason why I picked this movie is just because of Andrew Garfield at first, to be honest. But the thing is, but I'm such a huge fan of Andrew Garfield, but this movie, I thought it's like a masterpiece. It's like, I don't know, it doesn't have like CGI or something, but it has really good message, and I really liked it. So, and it has like an invention story, but also it has a romance. I think that is really good to watch. So I just want to talk about the cinematography. I can't not mention cinematography. So let's talk about this. So what do you guys think about the cinematography?
For me, for someone who's trying to be a cinematographer and who's a photographer, I thought there were a lot of the landscape shots, especially like in Africa and Spain, were beautiful. You see a shot right here behind you. Silhouette shots like this are very beautiful to capture, especially in romance movies, but also just in dramas. So those are shot really well, but also you can just see a lot of like the compositions that they have with like the Andy Serkis and his cinematographer did a great job of like framing them accordingly between the two characters, especially the Claire Foy, his wife, and Andrew Garfield. And it also just helps you tell the story a lot better. You know what I mean? Like being able to frame the characters in a way to help you relate to them, but also understand what he's going through at the same time. Like the one shot I really did like, I thought was really interesting, is when she said that they're having a baby. And all of a sudden it cuts out to this really wide shot, because you know if you hear some news like that, it's kind of like it's kind of like an out of body experience. So that relation of that is really, I like some stuff like that.
What I really liked is when he first gets hospitalized, and he's like on a respirator, he's on life support. And in the beginning, he's kind of in denial, and you can see when he gets transported. When we go to like his first person, and you can see all the people standing around him, and it felt suffocating to watch from that perspective. And I don't know if it was just me, but like at any point when we were in the room with him and it was just completely quiet and all I could hear was a respirator, that felt like it made it harder to breathe, which is the point, I'm assuming. But I thought that was really, really interesting, because I was like, wow, this feels suffocating, and I can imagine what it would be like to be in that position. And then they're like, here, first person, now I do. And it just felt like claustrophobic. I thought it was really cool that they were able to capture that in that type of setting.
True. I also want to mention about the POV shots. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but I feel like they have a lot of POV shots of the wheelchair person, you know what I'm saying? So we could see when he was on the van, we could only see like a lot of headrooms, and it's kind of packed. You know what I'm saying? And it really gives us the feeling, like we could feel how he feels. So I think that really helps to convey the message, and it changes. Like at the beginning of the scene, as the POV shot, it's only like sky or just in the hospital, like just the hospital POV. But it moves, and it became like sky. But it was like laying, you know what I'm saying? Not like this POV.
And I think that I think that was a great choice on the cinematographer's part too. Like you said, with the POV shot, especially in the hospital, where you only get like maybe a little bit of headroom, and like there's a ton of space up here. But if someone who's on a bed, you're not going to be perfectly framed all the time if you're looking in someone's eyes. That part was really nice. One thing I also forgot to mention was I really liked it in the beginning of the film before he gets polio. Like you see much wider shots, you see kind of it feels open, but when he gets polio and when he's in the hospital, but when he's still kind of in this depressing mood, there's more close-up shots. There's more. He feels more claustrophobic, like you said, and tight. But then when he's finally on like a chair that's more wide open again, he feels more alive again. So I think those things are really smart to see.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think the cuts really did have a stark effect on me. Like they were able to channel a lot of emotion from one camera to another. Like you were saying, the guy, like when she's like, "Oh, I'm having a baby," and then it like is like close to back. I think another part where I experienced something like that is when the guy goes into the secondary hospital when they go to the convention, and then it's like they like walk in, and then it's like wide shot, like so stark, and you're like, what the heck is going on? Like how is this? And then it's just like boom, emotion. And then the cinematographer, I feel like that was a pattern that he used, and it worked in this film to convey like this is crazy, not okay.
I think there were like two main shots for me that I saw, and I was like, I just like that. The first one was towards the middle of the movie when everything's kind of happy. There's a shot where it's from behind a set of like windows, and there's like 3 frames. And they're driving towards, and there's like I don't know what you call them. Is it a gaggle of ducks? Someone can fact check me. A swarm of ducks. I don't know what the term is. But like the ducks are going past, and it just looked like a painting to me. And I loved that scene. I saw that, and I was like, don't forget that, don't forget that. The next one was by the end of the movie. They show, obviously, spoiler, he dies, and they go from like his bed's here, and then they pan over, and it's got the breathing machine, but it's also got a picture of his wife, like right below like the little cord that goes to him. I just thought that was a beautiful scene because it shows like his wife is like giving him life just as this machine is, and I just thought that was beautiful. And like that, if they had just ended, I think there was like a little bit more after, but if they had ended on that shot, I think that
Yeah.
would have been perfect.
I think so too.
Yeah, I would have loved that just because I thought that perfectly summed up the movie. So
Kind of like she turns the switch and it just fades, just cuts
yeah,
to black.
something like that.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think I forget exactly, but I think there's a few scenes after.
There-
But
yeah.
that would have been, just
I mean,
there.
like, I think the point, like, I know that would have been a really great way to end it because, cinematically, it would have been super, like, oh my gosh,
yeah.
impactful. But I think they're trying to kind of show the point that, like, you don't really get a happy ending. You don't get the, like, comforting fade to black when somebody dies. So I liked it and I didn't at the same time. Like, I liked that we got to see more of a realistic way of how it happens versus, like, the film student in me was like, oh, it could have been so cool to be like, oh, his wife is his life support, and to show that and like how she had to be the one to take it away from him. And I'm like, oh, emotional. But I don't know. I have so many different like conflicting opinions about this movie. I don't know. It was so good.
No, yeah, it. When I watch this, it reminds me a lot of The Theory of Everything with Stephen Hawking, who I can't remember. I should prepare for that one. I can't remember the actor's name off the top of my head. But he played Stephen Hawking, who eventually got ALS. But it's just kind of the same situation where they started off, living their lives, and all of a sudden they've been hit with something very, deadly to them and paralyzes them, and they have to learn to live through that moments. And while I still really did enjoy this one, it's just the beats were definitely different. And I can understand where Andy Serkis wanted to do, and also the producer, which I don't want to take anything from
No,
you.
you're good. You can say that.
I did like the fact that this was handled with care because it was the son of Andrew Garfield's character.
Robin,
Thank you, Robin. It was his son who produced this film, and so you got to imagine that he wanted to show as much information about his father's life as possible, which I get. But it's just, I wonder personally if this would have maybe benefit from like a mini series in a way, because there was so much time, or maybe added on about 20 minutes. I think would have been, for me personally, I would have sat through another 20 minutes of this to help it stretch out that story a little bit more.
Yeah, and I didn't know of the son was actually the one making the movie till the very end.
Me either.
And
Yeah,
I thought like
here.
seeing that, it kind of makes me want to rewatch the movie and kind of
Yeah.
see it from different light, because it almost makes sense that they would skip past all of like the beginning parts because
Right.
Yeah.
he wasn't around for that, and
He doesn't really.
so it
know
kind
it.
of makes sense. Like still, like it's kind of like you were mentioning it's like the stylistic movie side of it, and he is just telling the story of his
Right.
life.
Right.
Well, not his life, but his
father.
personal
Yeah.
life
Yeah.
with his dad. So it makes sense almost some of the way that he showed it, and it was interesting because he doesn't actually really show himself
I was
in
thinking
it
the
that
same
much.
thing.
So I thought that was really, I don't know, I thought that was sweet because I feel like he really just wanted to show a true portrayal of his mom and dad through like bad times and the good. He doesn't show it as this perfect thing. They fight, they have arguments about whether he should live or die, and I thought that was really cool that he portrayed it in that sense.
Almost like a love letter.
Yeah,
in
it
a
was like a
sense.
love
Yeah.
letter, and I thought that was so sweet. The one part that almost got me at the end that made me cry was like seeing the real footage, and that gets me on like every movie
Yeah.
that's based on a real thing. I just saw that and I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I need to go take a breather before this. But yeah.
Yeah, when I first watched this movie, so today was like my second time watching this movie, and the part of like Jonathan blah blah, he was in the producer bay, and it made me cry a lot. Like, oh my god, I need to watch this again. And today we watched it. So I just want to talk about the metaphor
Yes.
as well, and they show a lot of shots of vehicles. What do you guys think about this? Did you guys notice this?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
When we were going through it, I noticed that, especially towards the beginning, there was like we were on like planes and then cars and then more then more cars and then more planes, and then I think it was kind of to show that like he had like such like a life of like moving and traveling. So when he got got polio and he was paralyzed, it kind of completely restricted everything about him, and he was so desperate to get back out there and try again to do it again that he helped invent a wheelchair. So
Yeah.
I don't know, I thought I really liked the amount of that we got to see of it, and also it kind of just gave me perspective of how easy it was to fly to different countries on your own back then before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the metaphor also kind of, after a while, it kind of stuck with me. And then when you brought up here, I was just thinking about it just now. Yeah, it's kind of like what the disease he had kind of immobilizes you, where the cars are something that it's the metaphor that you takes you where you always want to go. Mm-hmm. When you have something like that, it can be very difficult, so you have to work through that and find new ways to do so. Which, to me, actually, I didn't really think about it until you brought it up, and I was like, yeah, that actually makes a ton of sense. I like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking that too. Like, there's cars, there's airplanes, and there's trains. Like, you can put wheels on a lot of things, and it will move people. So it's like, that's so crazy that it took that long to be invented. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, like, so many people were immobilized. And then, but so many people who can walk are just, like, going in cars and going to other places because everything has wheels on it. Mm-hmm. Inventions, bro. I'm just like,
that's
very
real.
crazy.
But
that's
crazy.
That's one thing I wanted to bring up. Definitely was one of the things that
and they were like, we can't. It's impossible.
Oh my gosh, I hate
right.
that.
I hate people who do that crap.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I really liked and appreciated, because I didn't realize the scope of it. Like when he was the person who helped invent wheelchairs for disabled, not necessarily people who can't breathe, but just people who can be disabled and get on, be able to be mobilized. Like I think about it, like I kind of briefly talked to you guys a little bit about it beforehand, but think of someone like Stephen Hawking. If it wasn't for this guy inventing these wheelchairs for disabled, Stephen Hawking wouldn't have been able to do what he was able to do and live the life he was able to live. So the rippling effect that he went through and able to invent helped a ton of people. And like you kind of saw that towards the third act, where he visited all these people who were in these like basically coffins who were trapped, and all of a sudden he set them free. And that's kind of like a really cool thing to see.
Yeah, and like I was talking before, I was like, I can't believe it took this long to have a wheelchair be made. Like you would think it wouldn't be that complicated, like a chair with wheels, boom. But when you think about it, it's like there's a reason why it wasn't made, and that's just because disabled people didn't have respect throughout most of history, and even really today, there's still so many issues, and it's like, oh, well, no wonder nobody went like the smallest bit out of their way to invent something to help them, because they just didn't care. They just wanted to push them aside, have them put in some place where no one could see them. And I thought that the just metaphor of like the coffin that they used in the movie was just really cool, because they were just like, in the scene where they're in the little German facility, I thought they were really dead. And I was like, I thought they were just experimenting. So when they started moving the heads, I was like, oh my God, like this is so,
imagine living your life like that.
Yeah, it was like, this is just so wrong. And I think it's cool, like not cool, but like to show it in a movie and just like so bluntly put it out there is really awesome of him to do that for his dad, because I haven't really seen that many movies approaching this kind of topic, because it's kind of difficult and so many movies have done it so poorly.
Advocating.
Yeah, or advocating in the right way.
Right.
There's plenty of movies about disabled people, but not many are good.
Yeah. So yeah, Robin. So on the stage, after looking at that kind of person, he said like this. I wrote it because it made me like, oh my God, I should write it. So he said like, I don't want to just survive. I want to truly live. I think that's really a good message. So before say goodbye, we need to do something.
Do the final ratings?
Yeah.
Final ratings.
Let's start from Isaiah.
All right. I really liked it. I'm kind of a harsh grader, so I'm gonna give it like 7.5. And that's a really good rating.
Oh, okay,
that's a good rating. I'm gonna
okay,
just say
okay.
I haven't seen a movie that's a 10 yet, so that's not a bad rating.
I'm like 9.9.
9.9.
Yeah, guys. I also haven't seen The Perfect Movie, but I did cry. Should I give it 10? 10. Oh my God. I cried. Go on.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. I really love this movie, and I would like to watch this more and more, again and again.
I'm going to give it an 8.5, just because the pacing went so fast that I got confused in the middle. But I really liked it, and I liked the metaphors, and I liked how everything just like ended. It was very sweet. So that's mine.
I'll give it a 7.5, same as you, Isaiah. I mean, I still liked it. It still was good. There's some things I didn't like about it, but that's the beauty of film. It may hit somebody differently than others, and that's perfectly okay. You know what I mean? That's what I love about film.
Okay, this is today's episode, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And
See you next time.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.